Yo, GM. Finally kind of recovering back from Paris. But who we got on the Arch account today?
What's up, Bunzy? It's Brian.
Brian.
Were you playing that song from Bitcoin?
That song was coming from Planet Bit. No, that song was not on Bitcoin, but that would be banging. It can be on Bitcoin, which is pretty dope. We got Arwen Swag, if you guys want to come chat. And then Melky, we actually, I believe, met in Paris, if you want to come up and talk about that event. That was a pretty good time. Brian, are you going to Pwrd, BTC, Bitcoin, whatever the fuck, Denver?
No, I'm not going to Denver. I should be in Vegas, but not going to Denver. I think Vegas is going to be a little more Bitcoin centric, but there's plenty of stuff going on around. Like, I know there's like a blockchain or like a Bitcoin block event or something like that. And then I think maybe like a hackathon, and then a couple other things around ordinals and stuff like that.
Dope. Yeah, I think Vegas is going to be the grand slam if I have to, if I'm a betting man. But yeah, we got some homies in here, but in the bottom right, let's break. If you could just like retweet, comment, whatever, break the algo. But Swag, what's good? Your memes have been kind of on fire lately. Like, holy shit. Bane? Am I true?
My name is Bane. I am not Swagtoshi. Swagtoshi's hacked again.
Wow. You love to hear it. The slow rug voice. Oh shit. How are you doing that, dude?
I just happen to be hacked.
Wait. Am I rugging or am I just like
No, you are not rugging, sir. I am just personally hacked.
bro, this is lit. I'm like kinda scared though. Like my bag's already down and then you come with his voice, bro. Come on. What the
Bags are down. Swagtoshi is still hacked.
fuck, dude? God damn it. I'm like stressing out. My heart rate just increased a little bit. This should be relaxing. Well, Swag, you've gone to the dark side? Did you just buy a bunch of Solana and just become a yapper?
How's this? Any better?
Much better. You sound all right. Just like I left you. This is exactly how you sounded last time.
Okay, I'm back to my pure self. I am unhacked now.
Dude, did you get a fucking the interface?
Sir, I am hacked. No, you can literally voice transform in app.
Wait, is this AGI?
AGI was achieved, I believe in September of last year. And now they're just hiding it.
Damn, he's definitely hacking. This guy's dropping dates and knowledge. Damn.
No, AI actually unbroke my brain. Now I am actually unhacked. And ironically
Dude.
also hacked.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel every day after lunch.
Yeah, I'm currently building a Vercel React app. I am a full stack developer now.
Dude, who isn't, bro? Dude, if you're not full stack, just go on YouTube, make some lies, tweet about it, and then,
I deleted my LinkedIn a year and a half ago, but if I didn't, I would add full stack developer to it.
Oh, I wonder what the LinkedIn Denver? Or is Hack Swag going to Denver?
No, Hack Swag will not be in Denver. Perhaps one of my paid actors.
Can't hear that, but oh, he did it. Arwen, the stamp messiah. How you been, bro?
GM Bunzy, GM everybody. Yeah, my pleasure. I haven't got a voice changing app, but I've just got like this fake British accent. Actually, I'm from France, and I've been practicing my Shakespearean roleplay for quite some time now.
Bro, I need one that changes mine to a British accent.
There you go. We can all just enjoy each other vicariously through our strange accents. But yeah, nice to be here. What's going on? Represent the Stamps don't like to say that live. But yeah, everything's everything's good, bro.
Well,
And yeah.
don't like to say that loud. No, but yeah, dude. Bonsoir, merci. Those are like the
Yeah.
two words I got. French people. Dude, I'm like in where am I now? I'm in like Normandy area. The French gets a little bit heavier here. But yeah.
Well,
Edwin,
they speak Welsh around there actually. So
Welsh?
check that.
What the
Yeah,
fuck
in
is
Brittany they speak Welsh basically, a little version of Welsh.
Cool, I got schooled on this today by Hats. He was making fun of a instructional video. Can you hear me with this voice transformer? I
yeah, your
literally have
balls
zero
drop.
insight to what I sound like.
Yeah, you sound pretty cool.
Yeah, I've heard Welsh people should not be the ones that do instructional videos on YouTube. Would that be right, Arwen?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
All right, well, that's it for me. I got to get back to full stack developing. It was great to be hacked alongside all of you. Please continue to do the right thing.
Dude, hacking is so basically Swag's about to drop a token. That was the alpha. Like he just, you know, pre-alluded to a token drop. But no, Arwen, what are your thoughts on everything that's been happening? Have you followed the app airdrop or the claim at all?
I haven't. I haven't. I seen it basically, and truth is, I saw you doing your thing, and I thought, let's come and see what you guys got to say to it because I'm really bad at actually reading anything. So I know that I get the alpha, but it's straight up like. But yeah, I haven't been involved in the process. I'm not going to share, but I've been super busy doing a project which you can find out about on my Twitter or whatever, you know.
Dope.
But yeah, I'm here to learn, and so school me up.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of learning to do on it. I was hoping Farmer is going to be joining here soon. He is pretty keen on a lot of these bigger drops that have some bigger teams behind them. But effectively, what it is like, from my understanding, this is completely no research, just a few clicks. Is it is a knowledge-based AI system around like social networks. So like it basically gets a network web of all your followers, smart followers, all this stuff, and starts to rate your account about what you've been talking about, etc. And quite a hefty airdrop went out. Some people, like some really big accounts, got upwards to around like $40,000 airdrops. That's like top tier, like I don't know, forget who it was. Someone was,
Oh man.
yeah. But
I remember now. Debussy told me about it or something like that, and I went on it and I logged in on day one,
yeah,
and I
so
couldn't get
you
in.
should
And it was
check.
like,
You should check
yeah, I
this.
will, but I don't think it let me log in. It was having bugs because it was the first day, so I was too early. But I will check.
Damn, Arwen problems. No, I actually went and checked when it first. I attached my Twitter and like, dude, I had 600 yaps, which at the time was like all time low. So I sold it for like 90 cents. I don't know what it is right now. I should check, but I don't know. I think there is some merit to it. I think it's like, I think it's an interesting concept, especially if the data is correct. Like, with how they're pulling. I don't know how exactly they're rating some of these accounts, but I don't know. I could see it. It's tough to say because like TGE, when stuff launches, it it always goes down. But let me check what the price is right now. Brian, did you see much about this at all?
I've seen people posting, but so I'm curious, like, how is this going to compare to like Abstract with their streaming and stuff? Because I mean, obviously now this is leveraging a different platform totally, right? I don't know anything about it, and I didn't.
Yeah, I mean, from a macro standpoint, it's the same shit. It's like it's literally another protocol, another day, another chain, another hype train. But this one has all the buzzwords right now, AI. The one thing that's interesting though is the way that they gamified it is like, so all these chains hire influencers, do all these things, but this one kind of like backdoored getting a lot of big accounts to talk about it because they incentivize them saying like, yeah, you'll get more token allocation because your account's big. So on that front, I find it kind of interesting how they like went through the back door there to get a lot of big accounts to talk about their thing. Abstracted that was like, oh, we hope a lot of people will come and stream, but that didn't quite pan out. Um, and I don't know. I don't know who and what kind of big money's behind the Yap team. But I need to check the price. Oh, we got Speed up here, so now Speed, what are you yapping? Did you claim? Let me see. Yeah, it's Kaito or something. Kaito. Yeah, Speed. Oh, damn, yeah, I definitely sold the bottom. Oh, it's pumping again. I sold a third of mine at the bottom, which is natural for me. But Speed, did you participate in the Yap claim at all?
No, no,
No,
I don't farm some of that stuff.
nope, nope. Um,
The social stuff I stay clear. I work on a lot of these other farms, I guess. But some people got a nice little payday with it.
I don't believe I've ever collected a Speed Racer card or anything like that.
Speed Racer stays
Technically,
away.
there is speed racer cards. Someone did that card pack of ordinal people. Was that last year? I think.
Yeah, yeah, I
So
remember that. That
I do have one
was like,
circulating. I don't think it's there's high demand for it. That's for sure.
dude, illiquid fucking Speed Racer JPEGs, dude. You love to see it. No, this is I don't know. It's interesting from like a social kind of way that what it takes to take over the timeline. I think what they did is pretty smart. I'm just curious, like where does it go from here? Like how does it sustain? Like it's like, do you want a stake to vote? And in a climate right now of like where chains don't last more than I'm not
Fractional.
talking coins, I'm talking chains don't last more. Like look at abstract, dude. Like Luca was like um kind of holding on for dear life um with the Pengu token, but I don't know. I think there is a pump. Of course, when I last checked it, it was like 90 cents. I was like, oh, and I sold a third of it. I need Speed to bring up a topic so I can sell another third really quick on this last.
No, I mean we're seeing some Bitcoin movement. I think that's good. Runes are still dead. Ordinals are uh, not hemorrhaging as much. I think there was some green last time I looked. The OMB mint next week. I think getting a lot of FUD as expected. Anytime an artist wants to collect some money for their work, they have a tendency to FUD, which I'm all about. I love the FUD. I'm minting and look forward to it. I think the art's amazing. Um, so I think we're getting there when we think about the tech side of runes. I think as people wake up to that fact, I mean, volumes are just so low, and so most of the trading is just like arbitrage traders, like who do have liquidity pools, buying and selling and different things. I did see, on the Billy stuff on the Solana side, looks like runes.com is dumping hard. They clipped it. They took a 40% haircut on a couple million Billy this morning. They removed all their liquidity and they stabled up. So I don't know what they're up to, but
Oh,
regardless, there's good arbitrage opportunity for people.
wait, can you break that one down? Runes.com. So are
Well,
they
remember,
doing?
remember, runes.com was the ones that originally was trying to do this runes bridge to Soul, but they had a closed bridge. And so they kept doing testing and then, it really didn't take off. And then RuneMine came along and they opened their bridge up and were very transparent about what they were doing. And so then people were using the RuneMine. So that's what Dog went over with. That's what Billy went over with. I think Pups did the same. I'm almost positive. So everyone's basically been using the RuneMine bridge. And so right off the bat, if you remember like runes.com, kind of bought up a whole bunch of supply of different tokens, and they wanted people to come over and trade them on Sol, but they didn't really push a product and they didn't really push things forward there. So I think as a result, I don't know what they're up to, but regardless, they're dumping some of their tokens um, of these. So for people that want cheap tokens of runes that think they're not dead, there's different places people can find them now. So um, I think the big shipment of the week, in my opinion, was the Sats terminal stuff and these runes aggregators. And I'm just hopeful that more and more people will start just using those in general to buy, and it'll ultimately find your best buy and sell price, or even X first swap for that matter. There's still a lot of them that'll just reference you back to Magic Eden, which is fine, um, because they don't have a liquidity pool. But as more and more start getting liquidity pools, it'll just help arbitrage the trades yourself, and ultimately you're going to get the best buy price or the best sell price. So I think we need to kind of go to that platform, kind of like what Jupiter did. And so right now, Sats Terminal seems to be the one that is taking it from the application side, and Xverse has just integrated it inside their wallet. So hopefully we can keep pushing more and more products like that, because with Arch coming out, we're going to have Saturn. I talked to Bitflow sounds like they may be able to integrate their pools even into that Sats terminal product, which would be awesome. Um, so the more products that we can continue to push, then ultimately it's going to generate more volume. It'll be easier to track volume, and then from there, we're not new entrants all of a sudden are like buying something and they don't know what product's new, what's old, where's the best price. They just want to buy. And so that's where those aggregators are so nice, because that's basically what people do for Jupiter. It's like, hey, there's a new token. They don't try to go to some of these tertiary listing sites. They just go to Jupiter and they hit buy, and it gets you the best price that's available on the market. So we need to move that way in the runes ecosystem as well, and just trying to make people aware that these products are there. And from a user side, you're not assuming any risk. The only risk you're assuming is attaching to their website, but you get to see all your signing. So you're not losing custody of any of your Bitcoin. You're not having to bridge it anywhere. You just go on there and hit buy or hit sell, and it's right into the mempool.
Yeah, no, I think products like that are super dope. First of all, I mean, they use laser eyes, so of course they're brilliant. No, but it is cool. They do use laser eyes, but what they're building, I think, is something that we saw on Ethereum that kind of flies under everyone's radar. Like, why Uniswap got so popular was they made it open source, made it available for anyone to use, build front ends, paint a new picture on it, make a new website. But all the price routing is where a lot of the magic happens. And that's where products like Sats Terminal, obviously have experience in DeFi, like understand that. And there's a lot of money to be made in the arbitrage moments there. Because like even when you swap on Uniswap, it's deciding routes for you. Um, and that's just based on the current time, the best price that they can get you. But there's also, a lot of other things like partnerships sometimes, a lot of other things that don't get talked about as much. But what I'm getting at there is like more products that are open source and make it really easy for people to build products on top of and gamify and do these like, oh, swap just to farm points is actually a very good thing, because it gets liquidity moving. It makes people, do things. So that's one thing that I hope people do more, is like open
It
source their
incentivizes
projects.
people to
Yeah.
provide liquidity, right? I think that's a big
Here's
thing, is if there's fee generation
right.
because people are using swaps, regardless of what the price does, it'll improve liquidity on chain. Because right now there's like very little trading, so then the fees are low. So then you just get a lot more risk as far as if no one trades into your ARB, now you pull it out, or just there was sellers into it, you could have a big discrepancy of what you pull out compared to what the going rate is. But we're just talking about farming. The nice thing with Sats Terminal, if you go to their website, they have their trade thing, which is built and shipped, and that's the swap feature. And then you can kind of, it's pretty easy and intuitive. They have two other things up there too, and they're going to have a token that's going to come out, and even interacting with their stuff, you're farming dot swap, you're farming runes decks, and you're farming their token. I don't think there's anything incentives for Magic Eden at this point, but they have two other tabs up at the top. One is bridge and one is stake. So obviously they're continuing to cook and they're going to ship some more stuff. So I'm not sure what they're talking about on the bridge side. Are they going to be bridging to maybe they're working with um, stacks, or maybe they're going to do a Solana bridge as well. Who knows? And then the staking incentive, is there going to be, if they're kind of working on that type of deck stuff, are they trying to mimic one of these products that are on these other chains? So for people that are just wanting to buy and sell, or even arbitrage or anything, you might as well farm some of these products, because there's going to be some airdrops at some point. I don't think these products will be dead. I mean, maybe certain runes will be dead, but fungibles aren't going anywhere on Bitcoin. People continue to ship fungibles. We're going to have stable coins, we're going to have all these other things, and so there will be a role for some of these types of platforms as long as we use them. Because one bit the dust this week. Remember that Valhalla that was done by, that was that I forgot who did that one, but
Bob, right?
no.
No.
So Valhalla from Ordinal. Oh, who was that?
Ordar,
Yeah,
maybe.
Ordzar's product. They basically closing up shop because no one was using it. So they generated like a pumped up fund and kind of some of that stuff as well. And just no one was using it. So they're like, we're not going to keep trying to push a product no one's using, even though it works, doing well. It just no one was using it, so they basically rolled that up. So that's the situation. We talk about this, and Farmer was talking about it the other day, even with this Magic Internet Money Bridge, and some people were getting a little angry about the cost that they were charging. But ultimately, if we want builders and developers to come into our space, just like if we want artists to come and inscribe on Bitcoin, you need to be able to charge something for your time and for you to continue to try to ship good products. People just don't work for free. I know people wish that be the case, but that's just the plain hard truth. So if you aren't using these products, eventually they'll go away. They'll go find a chain that'll pay them, and that goes from the developer side, and it is the artist side as well. So I think something should be free, and people can debate about how much is too much when it comes to certain things, which is completely everybody's right to do it. But I just think it's on us as an ecosystem to kind of gravitate around good products and support them. And so I think if you're already going to trade runes, you might as well use some of these products and use them, because you're actually interacting with two dApps. And again, I have no association with Sats Terminal. I have no associations with any of these dApps. Getting nothing. I'm just using them and providing feedback. And fortunately, they are listening to my feedback, because like I told them, hey, you should like put the top runes just like they have in Xverse, and I told them that yesterday, and they did it. It's on there right now. So um, it's just one of those situations where these people want to make a good product, and it's on us to test it and use it and see if it's something that's here to stay.
No, I agree. And just to layer on top of that, so Liquidium partnered with uh, Sats Terminal as well. So if you go to Liquidium and go to swap, you could potentially be farming like 4 different tokens.
Yeah, they gave a boost,
um,
I think, on the Liquidium drop too. So yeah, you're
yeah,
right on that.
yeah,
So technically, you're farming Liquidium, you're farming
yeah,
Sats Terminal, and you're potentially farming RuneStex or Dot Swap.
exactly. Yeah, so that's like the real stack, if you ask me. If you're looking to buy the blood of some of these, the runes trade right now is very, very, very scary. But for some of the blue chips, like I don't know, Billy, Dot, if you're going to be swooping them up, the the best way is on Liquidium through the swap. You get the like the 4 layers of farming, which is extremely rare. Like typically you have partnership farming, but that's just kind of how, I don't want to say I don't know what's the right word, but that's how that's the state of what things are at. So I think, all of us here clearly see the long-term vision. So if you are going to pick them up, like going through Liquidium that's what I've been doing. Um, so that's
Yeah,
what I
some
would
of the
recommend on that
some of
one.
the biggest returns of our cycle will be via protocol token airdrops. I mean, in the most immediate sense. And so
Yeah,
that's
no
how
doubt.
ETH kind of started, and that's how liquidity started flushing around in there, as people were farming a lot of these protocols that were new and young. and they got airdrops. And we've got Magic Eden so far. We've gotten Liquidium, but besides those two, that's pretty much it when it comes to any size whatsoever. But there's a whole bunch more. I mean, we talk about Arch. We got Arch is coming up here soon. They're going to have their tokens. Saturn's going to have a token. We've got Sats Terminal. We've got all these other runes, dexes. Magic Eden's going to continue to drop products and continue to ship their token. Their next airdrop, I think, will be in April. So that one's coming live, and we've got some of these other kind of more small products that are being shipped. They may not be as big, but you never know. So it's one of those situations. Like I said, obviously, make sure you know what you're getting into. You don't want to be connecting wallets in random places, and you know what you're signing, and know the people behind the product. But it's one of those situations where it's probably a good idea to just start interacting with this stuff, use it, and send them feedback. They're very apt to listen. You just go right on to messages and say, hey, I used your product, this wasn't working, that wasn't working. Because again, if we don't tell them, it's not going to get better.
Yeah, no doubt. Farmer had made it. Maybe.
Yo,
What's good? You in the
I made it.
bathroom?
I made it. No. I'm just on back to backs this morning, and then had to grab lunch, otherwise I'd pass out. But
Don't eat in
yeah,
the bathroom, dude.
let's yap. Yeah, let's absolutely yap. Look,
Dude, I sold the bottom of Yap. 90
what
cents.
I did too. What is it at now? $4?
Dude, it's at 125. I have 1/3 of I sold 1/3 at the bottom. I sold 1/3 at 120. Now it's at 126. I'm about to dump
Oh
the rest of mine
boy.
here soon.
Well, I will say that it's a far cry from what people thought our yaps were going to be worth, which are the moon math. The moon math was saying $100 a yap, and yeah, bro.
Yeah, wait.
what was that?
I'm confused though. So the Yap is the Kaito or whatever.
It's different. So, so for each yap that you had, I had about 500 of these things. Ended up getting around 2,000 tokens. So the ratio was something like 1 to 4. It wasn't like flat for everybody. I think the more clout you had, the more Kaido airdrop that you ended up getting. And so yeah, one yap equals 4 Kaido basically, and so that right now is basically $5. $5 per yap. The moon math was saying 100 plus 150, 175. Dude, is the bull run over now, or like what the heck happened? How did we mess up the moon math airdrop math so badly is my question.
Dude, because yeah, airdrop math has always been on point.
It's always horrible. Yeah, you go on whale market, and every time it's like insane the amount of money that they think that you're going to get in the airdrop. But people are in. I'll take any win they can get these days. So it seems like things dump pretty hard, but you never know. I mean, you can end up with another Jupiter, or some of these other ones that do well after people kind of get out of some of these airdrops.
I think
But
Hyperliquid was the only one that made it out of
yeah,
like that's the only token that's like you can
Yeah, that's
hang your hat on.
so
that's literally the only token that got people out of the trenches for good, right? I thought that's what the point of all these airdrop was supposed to be.
at some
No,
point the
it's
Magic
reverse
Eden token. I
psychology.
mean, they have investors in a Magic Eden at $1.60, and they raised like 160 million at $1.60 valuation. And but they can't start capitalizing that until 12 months after launch, and I think it starts vesting over 3 years, something like that. So it'll be interesting to see how Magic Eden decides to incentivize people to buy Magic Eden for utility or some sort of thing. Because right now it's just a meme token, just like everything else, until it has some sort of reason someone would want to buy it. But I mean that's probably on our ecosystem. One of the bigger token launches. To be honest, Arch may be up there too, depending on what developers come on Arch and how that team is going to decide to incentivize people buying that token or maybe some sort of utility within that network itself. So, but it is one of those situations where right now anybody wants any win they can get, and they seem to want to sell stuff when they're in any profit.
Well, you know what has been performing? Bitcoin. We're back to 98 too. Like that's pretty damn good. Like 98.2 while Sol's at 175. ETH at 2,700.
Did you see why some of that happened? Did you see what Binance did last week? They basically sold all their reserves, and they had a lot of them, and then they just bought them all back.
Wait,
So
so was that true? So Binance ended up selling most of their reserves, and they actually rebought everything 1-to-1.
yeah, so let me see if I can find the post here quick. But I think it was one of those situations where you can generate quite a bit of FUD, and ultimately, let's see. I think I may have gotten rid of it.
So
I
they
had it
created their own
bookmarked.
dip to buy back in.
Yeah, I mean, when you have that amount of size, you can do it. Technically,
Yeah,
it's not illegal. I mean, you can buy and sell things at any point.
dude, the crime is so legal. Like, dude, that's so out the window. Like, I just it feels like it's the Wild West times a million. Like
It's
people worrying
it's
about legal now is like laughable.
it's a little. I mean, the order book's public, so technically, but again, ultimately, the people that are running those order books can see where their liquidation zones are. And so it's probably not the best thing for an exchange to be in the job of trading, because we're getting into that FTX zone, because that's kind of what they were doing, is they could see their order book and they could basically manipulate the markets to then, scrape these types of wins and get those arbitrages by selling
That is
into the liquidations.
Honestly, that is just nutty. I'm reading it right now. I didn't realize that they actually have done this in the past as well. My impression was when Binance was selling their reserves off that they were, reorganizing the business to be, tried and true exchange with only user deposits and not be part of the degen casino with everyone else. But dude, this is just nuts. So yeah, they're using part of the 800 million to start buying back. Oh my god.
So that's why I
Well,
think it's important for people, to go back to the metrics. You talk about Bitcoin and Bitcoin's doing well. I mean, structurally, the chart's amazing. Um, it's been almost like a stable coin over the last months, but I mean, it's just consolidating, very healthy. We basically are getting, higher lows as we're kind of marching up back towards that 100K level. But if you just look at, hash rate all time high, on chain Bitcoin all time, I mean, on exchange Bitcoin all time low. We just the mempool. People think about the mempool. It doesn't really matter at this phase because from the miner's perspective, all of their rewards are in their block fees based on current prices. Because I think miners, I think I saw a number. They're about 60K is their break even on their mining rigs right now. So as long as their Bitcoin's above that, they're in profit. So they're not forced to sell in any way. But I think all the metrics of Bitcoin are just super bullish. I mean, we have states that are about to finalize. I think I forgot if it was Utah or Texas is about to almost get something in the books where they're actually going to start their strategic Bitcoin reserve here very soon. So the U.S. is going to do it. I mean, CZ even posted about that. I think everybody knows that, and I've been talking about this for months. Once the cat's out of the bag, and which Trump did, and then he got elected, once you say that you may do it, everyone's starting to do it already. And so you're either going to lead or you're going to follow in that metric of when we're going to buy Bitcoin. Is it going to be this year? Or is it going to be next year? And the US is going to make that decision here in the next few months. But I just think, the structure and sentiment of Bitcoin is very bullish. You can see our ecosystem is over levered to non Bitcoin assets. And as a result, everything's FUD and everything's going to zero. But I think if we just think about big picture, I still think we could see an alt season. It just may be further down the road. Maybe not to the degree of having
yeah,
other
I think
other
so. I
ecosystems.
mean, there's going to be some spillover effects. My new favorite Milady KOL is Golden Suspended. He's got a really funny post here tagging Gigi, which is one of the biggest LA Vape Cabal streamers, whatever you want to call her. I mean, she's very active in this space. Don't get me wrong, but she posted that I will never leave Solana, and he captioned it saying, "Yes, you will. SEC announces cyber and emerging technologies unit to protect retail investors." I just, yeah. Look, like there's going to be some spillover effects. Like I wouldn't say like the worst is past us, but a lot of the bad news is definitely past us. From a price perspective, probably the worst is past us, but from like what actually happens to some of these market manipulators or market promoters, I think crime season, in my respect, like I think it really went way too far. Look, it's one thing to launch a meme coin and actually run it with good intentions. And then there's another thing to launch a meme coin, snipe the supply, and then absolutely rug it. I think that's
And
those are
send
two
promo
different.
tokens to all the influencers. I mean,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
and tell them not to
And
tell anybody. I mean, that's
yeah,
criminal if you're basically saying, "Hey, by the way, cover your tracks."
yeah. Look, like I think there's two different things. Like one is legal, and the other is wire fraud. And probably leans towards insider trading in a lot of ways. I think like what is insider information is there's a lot of like gray area or very close to gray on the crypto side, because everything mostly, teams, builders, chats are all kind of in the public, right? Like, I mean, you could say that a lot of these are behind closed doors, but you can find a vast amount of information just scraping this yourself. And I don't know if I would call that like insider information. I would just call that edge, right? But if you are directly getting information from a team to know exactly like when they're going to launch something, what the contract address will be ahead of time, well, I think that's truly crossing the line.
Yeah, it's
If
malicious
you just have,
intent. If you're coming in with
yeah,
malicious intent in the sense of
exactly.
like, "Hey, we're gonna pump this thing and then we're gonna all sell in tandem," that's basically you
Well,
got malicious intent.
I don't know if it's as coordinated as people think. I think there's I mean, it can't be all coordinated because only the guy at the top needs to know what his real intentions are, right? Like his job is manipulating the fact that he's got to promote this as a long-winded story. We're gonna do crazy shit because he's it's just a circle of like it's an exit liquidity circle jerk. It's like the founder of this token wants to rug the KOLs, and the KOLs want to rug their followers, and their followers want to rug the retail investors, and the retail investors on chain want to rug the centralized exchange investors or traders. It's just like, where are you in this spectrum? But I'm kind of glad to see a lot of the trenches, like the dodginess of the trenches actually go away, and it starts to feel a lot more normal. But at the same time, it starts to feel a little bit more like what we felt like in a bear market in general. But I think that's not a bad thing, right? Like you want to focus on things that will be sustainable. And to me, on-chain Bitcoin innovation, on-chain Bitcoin products, on-chain Bitcoin NFTs and meme coins, I mean, it doesn't get much more sustainable than that. You have pretty fucking good tokenomics designs or distributions of most of these Bitcoin meme coins in general. There is no centralized party that holds more than like, I think on like the most Lindy Bitcoin meme coins, like 1 or 2% of the total supply. Like if your token can't survive 1 or 2% of tokens selling, then you're in a proper, like very illiquid pump and dump type of situation. There's got to be real demand, right? Like there's got to be tens of percent of demand at all times, buying the dip, you got to have something people want, right? And I mean, speaking of something people want, I think Dog obviously going to Solana at a time where the trenches are dying. I don't know if that's necessarily like a good thing. I think it's definitely opened up the door for there to be more attention towards Dog, but at the same time, I'm like looking at the trading volumes. Dog 24-hour trading volumes after launching. It's $100,000 a day with 300K of liquidity. That's not a lot of liquidity. Well, one, it's not sufficient enough liquidity for the liquidity providers to not be absolutely wrecked when the price moves 3, 4, 5, 10x, or even 100x. Whatever you want to forecast it. But I think people don't realize. Like, I understand like promoting people providing liquidity, but I actually think people aren't aware of what you're trading off in providing liquidity. And in most cases, it's a negative EV coefficient, which is why we don't have, very sustainable DEX liquidity models, unless it's assets that trade at high scale, that people want to find a way to earn some yield on, right? But I don't know. That's my take. I don't. Bunzi, do you feel a little bit differently?
I wasn't paying too close attention to it. I was traveling and I just saw the timing pretty mimetic. I thought it was like pretty funny. I just saw the takes on the timeline that were like,
Yeah, you know what? It was a good time to launch because like the trenches are falling apart, and you give the free and fair, well distributed dog token to Solana. It's just, I don't know. You and I
yeah,
know exactly why people buy tokens, and it's not a selling proposition.
One that is set up pretty well, and this just happened, Magic Internet Money just launched. And so now it looks like there's, let's see, on the Rune side now there's 2,274 holders. One advantage they have is, number one, they have a team supply. It looks like, at least according to some stuff, there's some people working on the Solana stuff with that one too. I saw some stuff maybe that's happening there. But the other thing that people lose sight of is, if in fact these tokens do pump, because Magic Eden implemented that $1,000 or less, thing, they actually have 0 bricks on their floor, even if it does pump, because on these other tokens, that Magic Eden couldn't take off those old bricks. So every single asset of theirs is less than $1,000. So they've got some things working for them if ultimately momentum can shift and sentiment can change. But on the liquidity side, it's a tough conundrum, free and fair. We've talked about this before as well. Is, if you don't build that liquidity pool right off the launch, people are going to have to assume some risk. And so you think about the people that are providing liquidity. Hopefully, it's the people who have more tokens and have more benefits of the price going up and having more liquidity. So even if they are losing a small percent in relation to what they put into the liquidity pool, they're gaining
Yeah,
it
that's
elsewhere. And so I
yeah,
think for
exactly.
for a lot of these tokens, you don't necessarily want only 4 or 5 people providing liquidity. Ideally, you get 1,000 people put in a tiny bit of liquidity, and then that risk is spread across the whole community itself. So ideally, that be the case. And the concern and some of the problems we're seeing is because there's so many places to provide liquidity, you end up getting bad liquidity in all of them. And so, I think trying to focus people's attention on maybe a few different places is probably going to be the best in the long run. Although right now there's not a huge demand for it since there's not a lot of volume. So then there's just obviously a lot more risk being a liquidity provider. But I think as things ramp back up again, I think that's going to be the biggest things for communities to consider is, number one, kind of rally around, 1 or 2 liquidity locations. And then number two, trying to spread that risk among the whole community rather than just a select few, because it doesn't take a lot. I mean, you can just, someone's got $250 or $500 and they want to match that with their rune. Maybe that's all they can do. And that's, perfect, supply that. And so I think if you do that times 100, you're not sitting too bad when it comes to liquidity.
speaking of liquidity, is anyone providing LP with Kaito? I think there's a play there. There's a lot of volume going on with that. Is the best place still with base? Would that still be Uniswap? Um,
Yeah, they got a couple of dexes there, Aerodrome and Uniswap. Uniswap is definitely the one I think that has the most amount of
yeah,
TVL.
I
Yeah, I
mean,
don't know. I mean, like, what are you gonna do, Bunsy? Make 0.5% a day on Kaido, which is
bro.
going down only, or I mean, it's definitely not going down only, but
Yeah,
from
so
what
that's
we
the
see,
bummer. Like on these other ones, P4 still doesn't have the bid ask. That was like the dank, just like being able to set a basically a dollar cost average out. uh, If it goes up, obviously, but if it goes down, kind of left with the same bag that you had, you were still earning fees along the way. But it's still, I guess you're right. It's concentrated liquidity. Um, but I guess that kind of goes back to the dog conversations. Like, what does make these things do well is, you know, people, LP providers have to be properly incentivized, and that's just not the case. Like, fees are not being accrued at the rate that the risk is just accelerating. So it, it it's it's a tricky place. You know, we want our cake and eat it too. We want everything to kind of all happen at once. But I do want to dig more into the dog numbers because um, yeah, I was kind of AFK when that was happening. I think
Hey, yeah, I don't know if it's just me, but you're rugging pretty hard for me.
Yeah, it's kind of coming in and out a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
shoot.
They produced 800K in volume yesterday, and so that was the 24-hour last night when I saw it. And so then now, since that lapsed from when it originally opened, there was that huge arbitrage. Somebody kind of ripped it higher and then sold into it. So that was most of the volume. But the one thing I would say about the dog, and again, maybe it's a little bit on the pup side too. You guys have provided a lot of liquidity on the Solana side, but really not much on the Bitcoin. And is your reasoning behind that just because there's not as much volume on the Bitcoin side? Because Dog has some liquidity on Bitcoin, but it's one of those situations where you kind of want to shore up liquidity in a couple spots, like I just mentioned before, and versus
Yeah,
kind
I
of
mean,
spreading it around.
all of the pups liquidity is, I would say, like community based, right? So it just goes where capital gets treated best. I put in I put some liquidity personally on RuneStacks. A mixture of like thinking that RuneStacks points will trickle back and maybe make up for the impermanent loss somewhat. Is my kind of positioning
Yeah,
there is like
I've done dot
a
swap
fruit
and
farm,
RuneStacks as well, and so
like
both.
fruit farm alternative. But like there's 108K of pups BTC liquidity directly on RuneStacks, which is on a relative percentage of market cap. That's deeper than Dog. I don't know how much Dog has on DotSwap these days,
Dog
but
had at one point they had 10, but their price has gone down. I can pull it up here quick and see.
yeah,
Let
sure.
me just
Let's
look
let's
quick.
pull it up.
So Dog on DotSwap has 7.2 Bitcoin, so 720,000 bucks in TVL on Dot, and they produce volume on there, 1.3 BTC in volume. It's not crazy. They've had much higher volumes, but it's probably comparable, at least right now, to what's happening for Solana for them at this point. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's fair.
I was looking at a lot of those. Ideally you want at least 1% of the market cap or TVL to market cap ratio in the LP pool, but ideally even a couple more percent if it was a primary
Honestly, like
trading
three,
location.
3 or 5 would be like, if it's a primary trading location, 3 to 5 is phenomenal because it gets people in and gets people out. But the problem is like it just you got to pay your LPs, right? Like I mean,
But
like
if we're
even
not
right
using
now,
the aggregators, the problem with too much liquidity is it's a lot cheaper to go and pump the price on, say, Magic Eden in some of those instances than in your LP. So you kind of have to look. At least ours is a little different again until we start really using Sats Terminal and Xverse and some of these aggregators on a regular basis. It'll fix itself, but because it's so siloed at this point, when I was looking, we actually pulled some liquidity from the Billy stuff when Billy was going well, partly because it would take way too much volume on DotSwap to move the price versus what it would on Magic Eden. So, and since that was the primary trading place, you didn't want to suppress the price by having too much liquidity with the LP, because again, we're still dealing with an order book that happens to be the primary place for most people to trade. So again, I think
yeah,
that's
but
going to change in the future, but it is
I
one of
think you
those
just need
kind
to
of
let the
things you have
market
to
set its
weigh.
course. Though. I think you just have to let the market set its course, though, right? Like look, like I understand how people are just like, oh, the LP can't be too deep, but like, if it's not, then yeah, like if it's not, then um, it doesn't create a very sustainable token price. In the case of like Pops, obviously that's a really good example where the initial liquidity pool on the Solana side was not deep enough, and I wouldn't say artificially it inflated the price, but certainly like it inflated the price very dramatically because all of CT decided to ape this one token that had, I would say to begin with, like not the same amount of LP that a pump fund token would have, of course. So I think you just have to let the markets play its course. But I think you're right. Like 2 to 3% of just sustainable at all times liquidity shows you kind of what demand and what people price your token to be over. Give it a couple months and you'll see exactly where the market is.
Be interesting to see if they'll be able to pull, say partial trades, from two different platforms. I don't know. I have to ask Sats Terminal that, but that would be kind of cool in the sense of saying like, hey, say someone wanted like buy zero point 0.1 Bitcoin versus of a rune, but because the liquidity is kind of in different locations, if they would be able to basically send a buy order to dot swap and a buy order to Magic Eden, a buy order to RuneStacks to get you the best price available since the liquidity is spread accordingly. Because if you come in with some size, it may be one of those situations where you get a big change in price unless if the aggregator itself allows you to split that up.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm coming back any better, but um, that's interesting. I do think that, fees start to kind of get a little bit wonky there. Like once you start adding multiple transactions. Um, but I think if it's in size, it almost seems like a unique use case. I don't know. I don't know. I know that there was some announcement about shared LP pools, though. I didn't dig into too deep about it. I probably should have, but I can probably dig for the tweet. But is anyone familiar with what I'm mentioning right now? I believe it was Sat Terminal, if I'm correct,
I
saying
think you may
something
be
about.
right. They were on a space. That would be interesting. So somehow they can pool it.
I'll dig real quick. I mean, it's a pretty bold claim. That's kind of why I was like, you know, like even no one, in my opinion, has really nailed the seamless layer one LP pool. So to start to claim interoperability, but I do think that there is a lot of collaboration and teams open to um, partnering. I mean, two reasons. One, it's a very collaborative ecosystem in regards to others, but also desperate times call for desperate measures, like type type conditions. But I do think that what you're saying, you're onto something, and that's effectively how if you go through one of your Solana swaps, like like how many accounts it hits is insane. Like it does so much under the hood, and that's definitely how it will end up being in one way or another. Especially like let's start exploring like how different pairs might even work. Or I don't know. It does
But
open up a really
it
interesting
goes back to
conversation.
survival mode for these apps, in the sense that they need to collaborate or you're going to die, because if no one's going to use your product, like I mentioned before, it's going to fall by the wayside. And so, to have some of this while they can at least generate some fee revenue to where they continue to build their product out, because a lot of them are shipping kind of, stage A products out to the system just to see if it's, people are going to buy into it, but they're going to continue to produce and ship additional stuff. But if no one uses it, at some point they're going to say our time is more valuable than what we're getting in return. And as a result, they're going to leave. So I think somehow if that was possible, that would be pretty amazing, because then from the user side, they can provide LP anywhere, and farm whatever product they want to farm. And then ultimately, the from the user that's buying and selling, they can basically get deeper liquidity, even though it's fractured.
I mean, that was the whole point of Uniswap chain, right? Like build your own chain for all the liquidity, and it doesn't really work, quite frankly.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
a good long-term solution, probably, but because again, ultimately there'll only be probably a couple places that will be trading, runes. There will be some. Again, it'll be interesting to see which ones end up surviving, and are they all going to be on layer one? Are they going to be on Arch? Are they going to be on ICP? Are they going to be on stacks? Who knows? But I just think there's a lot of people working on a lot of our flaws in our trading, and so I feel pretty comfortable that we're going to get better trading. The question is there going to be demand? And I think there will, but you just never know. I mean, these are still unproven products and unproven meme tokens. And are people going to want to buy Bitcoin meme tokens? I think they have different advantages than Solana does, like you mentioned before. Um, so I think if people go back to like buying brands and buying good memes, hopefully, the one thing I do like seeing here today, it's like Fartcoin is up 22%, from when it got ripped down. It's like, there was a big community around that token, and everyone kept chasing the shiny object and dumping their winners that actually had some sustainability in this cycle. And if we can start to see some of that rally, I feel more confident that we're going to see runes get their leg up again. I got to take off. Nice chatting, guys.
Peace. Yeah, I mean, number go up is still the best technology to get more people excited. I mean, number go up, you get a lot of people rallying. But I have been going through such terminals. I can't find the tweet that I thought I saw. Um, but yeah, I mean, I still think the biggest like win is the platform that can just natively stake Bitcoin on layer one. I feel like Hyperliquid is extremely close with the Xverse integration. Like Farmer, I've kind of seen that from far. Like, what is the TLDR on the whole Hyperliquid Bitcoin situation?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, we talked about it a couple of shows ago, and maybe you just it's possible that you weren't on, but long story short is Xverse is taking place as basically the default wallet for Bitcoin deposits to take place into Hyperliquid through Unit Protocol, which will enable spot Bitcoin trading. So you can deposit your Bitcoin into Hyperliquid, sign a transaction within Xverse directly on the Hyperliquid front end. And on the back end, it's using Unit Protocol's MPC network.
What is Unit Protocol?
That is a MPC network. So just another way to wrap Bitcoin. They call it native Bitcoin, but we just know that that's not the case. It's a wrap. It holds your Bitcoin.
It's like a
node
signature.
Node-based. It's
like,
a node-based network. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So it's called Unit Protocol.
Yeah, and I've chatted with Shoku, which built Unit, just to get a better understanding of like how much work is it going to take for runes to be eligible or interoperable with Unit Protocol, and he said that it's a bit of work. It's not necessarily just one click and done and set and forget. There's indexers that he needs to run and cross-check balances and form transactions, split runes, consolidate them, etc., etc. Much like you would do for UTXO management purposes on Unit for Bitcoin deposits. But right now the Unit protocol priority is to enable spot deposits of Sol, ETH, and BTC. Other EVM assets as well are much more simple and intuitive, but would require they do require a spot listing for Hyperliquid for any deposit. So in order for any of this to take place, you do have to pay the Hyperliquid listing fee, which ranges from anywhere from 100K to 400K. And then you do have to have, because it's not decentralized market makers, it's not an AMM. They do have partners like Wintermute, GSR, Flowdesk, and basically everyone who's market making and arbing books on centralized exchanges is providing liquidity for underlying spot assets on Hyperliquid. So Same. A Hyperliquid on-chain listing is exactly the same as from a technical and partner perspective as a centralized exchange listing. You can't get rid of the listing fees. You can't get rid of the requirements to have market makers because it's a limit order book. So the only difference is that it's directly on chain and it's a no KYC centralized exchange. Let's call it that, with fully auditable self-custodied quote unquote deposits into it. So it doesn't, it's definitely like a 0 to 1 moment, but it's not the 0 to 100 moment. Once we can get rid of the market makers, I don't know, we've been doing so much experimentation in this space, in this industry, for the better part of the last 4 years, and we still haven't found a better solution for AMMs and concentrated liquidity pools get us more capital efficiency. But there's a reason why the most amount of the tokens with the most amount of liquidity just refuse to have AMM based liquidity. Is because pro traders and pro market makers are always going to be having much higher capital efficiency with algorithms and programs to cross our every single book in a limit order book perspective. So I'm not convinced that that it can be done in a decentralized way just yet from the market making side.
Damn, that was bars.
That's awful. That's awful. I mean,
That
yeah.
was
So
that was some deep. That was like you blacked out and just kept talking. That was lit. But
dude, I mean, I've been talking to Shoku for quite a long time now. I guess ever since he did this kind of initial reach out of, hey, who in Bitcoin can I talk to? I think I was like his first call 30 seconds after he posted, or like
that's
a minute
epic.
after
I
he
mean, you're
posted.
the right. In my opinion, you have the strongest skill set for like the not only meme point stuff, the pups, but just the understanding of what it takes for something like that to happen. So that's dope that you were able to chat with them.
Well,
From my
dude, I wish that Pups was launched directly on Solana with a pump fund. You know how easy life would be when you have every single technical solution out there able to be leveraged in public. Like it's it'd be pretty easy to figure out what
but
to do next.
pups didn't launch on Solana and hard
Uh,
things. Um,
well,
no,
it was
no, I
on
hear
pump.
you, but it would have been done by now. You probably would have been in jail, like, or you could have been a
Yeah, that's
president.
true. I would have been in jail. Yeah,
You
for
might have got
sure, for
elected
sure.
president though. But I mean, just from the kind of the way that I see it from the narrative side, I believe just like association with Hyperliquid while it's on its leg up is just a net positive, like in general. And I think association with Hyperliquid, again, not technical standpoint, literally just from narrative, which like is, let's be honest, is what really drives price, is is a really big thing. And I think Rune's conversation with a team like Hyperliquid is going to make these people that think they're pro traders in the trenches take Runes a little bit more seriously and see it as like something on their radar to deploy more capital if they have any left. But I don't know. I just, from a product launch standpoint, nothing has done what Hyperliquid has done in the last few months. So the name Bitcoin and Rune's conversation around it is just it does excite me. And like the biggest unlock I think is like I think Babylon is doing it, like Zeus, but just staking Bitcoin, like dormant Bitcoin for yield is I think something that is I don't know, just super. For some reason, everyone wants something with a dot fun at the end of it, but it doesn't seem like too many teams are working towards it. But maybe I'm missing something. Is there
Yeah, I
anyone
mean,
else?
anyone else that's building what?
Just being able to stake Bitcoin for some.
Yeah. I don't think so. I mean, other than Babylon, I mean, there's so many ways to like stake your Bitcoin. There's like LSTs now, which are, well, they all kind of flow through Babylon. Babylon is the ultimate like pillar of staked Bitcoin. So you get Babylon staked Bitcoin, then you can you get an LST from that, which then you can restake, and then you can get a restaked LST and then put it into a lending pool to be borrowing lending against, so that people can it's just rehypothecation games. And until this yield actually becomes sustainable and not just emissions-based yield, then we're playing the liquidity and musical chairs. That being said, there's I think eigenlayer, initially people thought that the yield would be substantial because security is something that is worth paying for, and so restaking obviously has merit. Chains, Oracle services, there's merit to paying for security for those things, especially if you can get better security than your own underlying network, or at least maybe initially bootstrapping it until you have a validator set. But at the end of the game, it just shows us that restaking doesn't have a true product market fit just yet, because the incentive is always to create your own layer 2 network, basically, with its own emissions plan and its own etc etc. And then Babylon side, of course, it's rehypothecation, a similar type of philosophy, but there's Babylon chain now. I don't know if you heard of that.
Rasta. No, I didn't. Sounds about right though. I mean, if you don't have a chain, your own chain right now, like, are you really even?
Yeah, yeah, you
Are you
definitely
really even? Are you really even in crypto, bro? Like, you have to make your own chain if you have a failed
So
NFT project.
it'll be the chain that has the deepest amount of Bitcoin based liquidity, with assuming that a vast majority of it is sticky. 5 billion in TVL is no joke. I think that means Babylon will probably open at upwards of 5 billion in general, which is a great return for those early investors. I mean, their last round was done close to like a billion, anyways. But yeah, we'll see. Like, are we? Maybe we're all just gonna go to Babylon and at some point. I don't know why we would go to Cosmos. As I don't know.
Oh
Like,
shit! I haven't heard Cosmos in so long. Holy shit, dude! They were supposed to be
Cosmos
the
is the
app.
future, man. Cosmos is the future with the most cooked tokenomics to the actual underlying stack itself. I don't know.
Damn, dude, that was a. I remember Cosmos was gonna save interoperability for everyone's different. That's a throwback. But as we start to wrap up, we're going toward BTC Denver. You're gonna be on this. You're gonna be on the first Bitcoin stage, right?
I'm gonna be on every single stage out there.
Lit,
Pretty much.
dude. All right, because I do open up every Denver Trust strip club, and they have. I didn't. Are you gonna be on those stages too?
Oh shit. I wasn't planning on it.
Gotta earn those pup tokens. No, but what is it? BTC. Uh,
Yeah, there's a couple. Like, there's the BTC Denver event that RuneSex is hosting. There's the BTC Mini Summit, which the ETH Denver is actually hosting as a part of their booth organization conference thing. There's like the Bitcoin Renaissance, and then a couple of more that I think are like staple, like no excuses, have to be there, have to go there, type of events, as it was last year. But I'm kind of excited to see like the vibe shift. Like, look, I know it's not the same market that we were in last year, so I'm kind of I'm interested to see if the vibes will still be good.
bro, like, I don't know. Clearly, a lot of people like didn't pull too much money back to big, but in Paris, a lot of people were just like down bad. Like the sentiment was like, dude, my ordinals are down so bad. Um, and I'm curious, like, is Murad's pump this? I mean, I still think ETH Denver, like, there's just gonna be a pump. I don't know. I'm never right about this stuff, but my gut is saying that there's just going to be some type of upwards trend that I don't know. Now I probably jinx it, but you know, I just I think a lot of it weighs on the OMB mint, strangely. I don't know, maybe I'm putting too much weight on that, but what are your thoughts on the Black Eyes mint and like how much of a kind of catalyst that plays in the next few weeks? Long term, it's kind of, it's going to do its thing, but what kind of sentiment, how do you see this shaking out?
Yeah, I think that's interesting. Yeah, like I think it's gonna mint out. I think sentiment is that people are just a little, upset that this is happening when the market isn't so hot. I don't blame them, but at the same time, like I think it's an attractive price. It's just,
But I mean,
if we had,
let's roll back to when the green or the orange guys came out, leading up to it with kind of the price like went up because people wanted, out like um, the chance to get them. Like price is literally dumping right now, which is I say all this just like because I feel like OMB is the staple collection of ordinals. Like it is it has the opportunity to get a lot of people to come over here if they see price moon. Um, but I can see it imploding like on a macro level, not that big of a deal if it doesn't do super great, but just like a lot of PvP internal, just like retardation FUD if it doesn't do something slightly remarkable.
yeah, I think it'll do decently well. This kind of makes OMB, this quote unquote final 10K, like not entirely, but like close enough that it's a 10K. And I think, historically, we see where some of the top 10K collections trade at. It's around that like 0.05, 0.06 range. And I think we can certainly get there all across the board for OMBs. I think we'll probably have the floor price for the black eyes at 0.04, 0.045 maybe. We'll probably trade up from mint, and then you have various premiums associated with the with the colors of the eyes. I think a lot of people like the recent one the most, which is quite interesting. Like you don't really see that too often where
That's a
people
good point.
prefer
That
the
even me personally, I'm like some of these new ones. They're very relevant. There's a lot more detail. Um, that is an interesting point. And another interesting point you made was the price around the 10K. Kind of, some of these other collections do sit around the point 0.5 range or 0.05. Sorry.
yeah.
That's good. These are
Yeah,
I
like,
didn't think about it from that lens actually.
yeah, like OMB is perceived as a blue chip, right? Like I don't think that's going anywhere, and I don't think ZK is
No,
going
I'm not
anywhere.
saying it's not. I'm saying quite the opposite. I'm saying like it is the
Yeah, yeah. I
flagship.
mean, look, I don't think we're gonna have a Hail Mary where OMB just trades up to like 0.04 BTC. Like if we did, it would just be one of those crazy moments. But I don't know. TLDR.
Yeah. Well, no crystal ball. But I guess now, when do you get into Eat Denver?
I am actually flying out tomorrow,
Oh no shit. Oh.
but I'm going to spend some time doing the reverse of what most people do, which is ski first, conference after. But I think most people go conference and then ski, which I think is what you've done over the last couple of years, right, Bunzi?
Yeah, they have the Breckenridge, but they used to have a shuttle that was free. Like they used to like do the whole thing. That was pretty dope, but now they don't have the shuttle. And see the way my bank account is set up is no, it's just dumb. I thought it was cool. But I'm not gonna go up to the mountains this time. After dude, strangely, I'm retarded. I always thought Denver was like super close to the mountain, like to go skiing. It is like not. It's like an hour and a half, which is just I don't know why, dude. Yeah, Randy, dude, you thought it was far too. Shut up. But yeah, I don't know. I'm excited. I think last year was just super fun. Um, I think there's gonna be a lot of um interesting things happening with the OMB mint. A lot of conversation. a lot of people still interested in ordinals. I think now having an official stage is kind of cool around the ETH DAI token maxis. I wonder if we can convert any whales. But yeah, if anyone's cruising, hit up Farmer Joe, DM him. He wants to go skiing with you.
Yeah, I'll be driving the Bang bus all the way to Denver. So if you want to hop in,
The Bang bus. Damn. I thought that was Arwen's job. Arwen has been known. I've seen him in some all right, never mind. Well, everybody, sentiment is mid. Yappers are actually I sold mine, so of course it's going up. We're almost at $1.30, so that's not quite the $100 people were hoping for. But yeah, you got anything else, Farmer? Should we wrap this puppy up?
I'm bullish. I'm bullish on Denver. I'm bullish on the BTC builders, and I'm bullish on Bitcoin assets. Nothing really changes. It's just higher eventually, and higher for longer.
Higher eventually. You know, good thing
All
about
right,
that
higher
is
next week.
higher next week. You heard it here. He's gonna start
Well,
buying pups.
let's get that ETH exit liquidity, baby. Let's go. As
Dude.
Hayden says, we're trying to max extract this one, baby. Let's go,
Dude, yes. We all need to tap into our inner Hayden and just start sniping literally these ETH whales and just tell them like, dude, there's a lot there's actually girls on Bitcoin. I don't know, we can lie to them and say some other stuff too. But we gotta get in Bitcoin somehow. But I don't have any cool tunes. I only have my laptop. So I'm just gonna rug this thing just like Hayden. So peace.
Rug it.